cornbread and milk. Cornbread, just the word alone, brings to mind the image of a golden, crumbly slice straight out of a warm oven, butter slowly melting into its nooks and crannies. Simple, humble, and undeniably comforting.
I'm gonna have cornbread and milk.
This dish was a staple for many families during the toughest times, particularly in the South. It wasn't just a side dish, it was a meal in itself. When the pantry was running low, cornbread could be made with a handful of pantry staples: cornmeal, flour, baking powder, and a bit of milk and butter, and could feed a family for very little cost. Paired with a glass of milk or a dollop of butter, it offered both nourishment and a little joy, no matter how tight the budget. Cornbread became even more essential during the Great Depression, when many families had to get creative with what they had on hand. It was inexpensive, easy to make, and filling enough to carry you through the day. In Southern kitchens, it often served as the centerpiece of a meal, accompanied by whatever else could be scrounged up, like greens or beans. Over the years, cornbread has become more than just a humble meal. It's a symbol of resilience, resourcefulness, and the strength of Southern cooking traditions. Its enduring popularity is a testament to its comforting, rustic appeal. To make cornbread, start by preheating your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. In a mixing bowl, combine 1 cup of cornmeal, 1 cup of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and a pinch of salt. In a separate bowl, whisk together 1 cup of milk, 1 egg, and 2 tablespoons of melted butter or oil. Pour the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients and stir until just combined. Then, pour the batter into a greased skillet or baking dish and bake for 20 to 25 minutes, or until the top is golden brown and a toothpick inserted into the center comes out clean. Serve warm, perhaps with a splash of milk or a pat of butter, and you'll quickly understand why this simple dish has stood the test of time. Fried potatoes and onions. There's something magical about fried potatoes and onions. It's a dish so simple, yet so deeply satisfying. It's easy to understand why it became a go-to for families who needed to stretch a dollar.
I'm going to be making skillet potatoes with onions.
Whether eaten alone or paired with something more substantial, these crispy, golden brown potatoes, enhanced by the sweet and savory depth of caramelized onions, have the power to turn even the most meager meal into something comforting. On a cold evening, with the scent of sizzling potatoes filling the kitchen, it's easy to forget that this meal was born out of necessity rather than indulgence. It's a reminder that sometimes the best meals are the simplest ones. Fried potatoes were a staple during times when meat was scarce, especially during the Great Depression. With a large bag of potatoes costing just pennies, they were a reliable and filling base for any meal. Paired with a few onions, often homegrown or available at a low price, this dish could feed a family without breaking the bank. The beauty of fried potatoes and onions is in its versatility. Depending on what you had available, you could add garlic, spices, or herbs to give it an extra kick. It was a dish that could be easily customized to fit your tastes and the contents of your pantry, yet it always delivered on flavor. To make this simple yet satisfying dish, start by peeling and slicing your potatoes into thin rounds. Heat a couple of tablespoons of butter or oil in a skillet over medium-high heat. Once the oil is hot, add the potatoes in a single layer, letting them cook for about 5 to 7 minutes per side, or until they begin to crisp up and turn golden brown. While the potatoes are cooking, slice up 1 or 2 onions and set them aside. When the potatoes are nearly done, toss in the onions and cook for an additional 5 minutes, allowing them to soften and caramelize. Season generously with salt and pepper and serve hot. Whether served on its own or as a side dish, fried potatoes and onions will remind you that sometimes it's the simplest things that bring the most joy. Bean soup. There's something undeniably comforting about a steaming bowl of bean soup. It's a meal that feels like a warm hug on a chilly day, made with nothing more than a few humble ingredients, yet somehow it feels like so much more.
Now, this soup is very basic.
Bean soup has been a lifeline for many families, particularly during tough times like the Great Depression. With beans being one of the cheapest and most nourishing foods available, they became the heart of many meals. Whether served as a standalone dinner or paired with cornbread, bean soup provided both sustenance and comfort for families who had little but their creativity in the kitchen. Beans have long been a staple in many cultures around the world, valued for their affordability and high protein content. In the United States, they became an essential part of the diet during the 1930s when families were struggling to make ends meet. With dried beans being both inexpensive and filling, they were often cooked in large pots to feed many mouths, sometimes simmered for hours to bring out their full flavor. Bean soup also had the advantage of being incredibly adaptable. You could add whatever scraps of meat or vegetables you had on hand, or keep it entirely vegetarian, and it would still be a hearty, satisfying meal. To make this simple yet flavorful dish, start by soaking a pound of dried beans overnight in a large bowl of water. Once the beans are soaked and ready, drain them and place them in a large pot with enough water to cover them by a few inches. Add a diced onion, a couple of minced garlic cloves, and a couple of chopped carrots and celery stalks. For extra flavor, if you have a ham bone or ham hock lying around, throw it in for added depth. Bring the pot to a boil, then reduce the heat and let it simmer for about 1 to 2 hours, or until the beans are tender. If needed, add more water to keep the beans submerged. Once the beans are soft, season with salt, pepper, and any herbs you like, such as thyme or bay leaves. Serve hot, and for an extra treat, pair it with a slice of cornbread or some crusty bread to soak up the delicious broth. Simple, nourishing, and steeped in tradition, bean soup is the perfect example of how humble ingredients can create something truly heartwarming. Gravy over biscuits. Gravy over biscuits is the epitome of comfort food, simple, rich, and utterly satisfying.
I'm going to prepare a creamy sausage country gravy.
The dish, often served as breakfast, was also a popular dinner choice during times when money was tight. With just a few basic ingredients, it could feed an entire family and fill them up without leaving them hungry. The golden, flaky biscuits paired with smooth, savory gravy are a combination that warms both the belly and the soul. It's the kind of meal that reminds you of cozy mornings at home, with the smell of biscuits baking in the oven and the sound of a skillet sizzling in the background. Biscuits and gravy have deep roots in Southern cuisine, where they became a staple during difficult times like the Great Depression. In many households, biscuits were made from scratch with inexpensive pantry ingredients, flour, butter, and baking powder, and served alongside a rich, comforting gravy. The gravy, often made with drippings from whatever meat was on hand or simply from a roux of flour and milk, was designed to stretch the meal further while still providing that satisfying, indulgent flavor. Even if the family didn't have enough money for sausage or bacon, the gravy could be made with just a bit of fat, making it a perfect solution for a filling, budget-friendly dinner. To make this dish, start by preheating your oven and baking a batch of homemade biscuits. If you don't have the time or the ingredients for homemade, store-bought biscuits work just as well. For the gravy, melt 2 tablespoons of butter or use drippings in a skillet over medium heat. Stir in 2 tablespoons of flour and cook for about 1 minute to form a roux. Gradually whisk in 2 cups of milk, making sure to stir constantly to avoid lumps. Continue to cook until the gravy thickens, about 5 to 7 minutes. Season with salt and pepper to taste. Once the biscuits are baked, split them open and pour the gravy generously over the top. It's a meal that's easy to make, easy on the wallet, and so deeply satisfying. It's no wonder it has been passed down through generations. Rice and beans. Rice and beans, 2 of the most basic, humble ingredients, come together to create a meal that's simple, satisfying, and deeply nourishing.
Teach you how to make the best rice and beans at home. They need to be rich, they need to be thick, they need to be full of flavor.
Whether you're making it for a crowd or just for yourself, this pairing has stood the test of time as a go-to for filling, affordable dinners. For families living through the hardships of the Great Depression or those on tight budgets today, rice and beans are a constant reminder that you don't need much to create something delicious. With a few spices and seasonings, this unassuming dish transforms into a hearty meal that sticks to your ribs. Rice and beans have been staples in cultures around the world, from the Caribbean to Latin America to the American South. In fact, this dish is so universally loved that it has countless variations depending on region and preference. During the Depression era, when meat was often scarce or too expensive, rice and beans became a primary source of protein and sustenance. Beans were affordable, filling, and packed with nutrition, while rice was a cheap and versatile base that could be stretched to feed a large family. Together, they made for a complete, well-rounded meal that could be served in countless ways, depending on what was available in the pantry. To make rice and beans, start by cooking 1 cup of rice according to the package instructions. In a separate pot, cook your beans. Whether you're using dried beans or canned, the process is simple. If you're using dried beans, soak them overnight, then simmer them in a pot with water until they're tender. If you're using canned beans, just drain and rinse them. In a skillet, saute 1 diced onion and 2 minced garlic cloves in a bit of oil or butter until they're soft and fragrant. Add your cooked beans to the skillet and stir them around with the onions and garlic. Season with salt, pepper, and any spices you like, cumin, paprika, or even a dash of hot sauce for some heat. Once the beans are heated through, serve them over the rice. This dish is endlessly adaptable. Add a squeeze of lime, a sprinkle of fresh herbs, or even a fried egg on top for extra flavor and texture. Rice and beans are proof that with just a few simple ingredients, you can create a meal that's both filling and flavorful, no matter how tight the budget. Tuna noodle casserole. Tuna noodle casserole is the unsung hero of budget-friendly meals.
Going to make it really easy. Tuna noodle casserole. It's absolute.
A dish that has been filling plates and satisfying bellies for generations, with its creamy, savory sauce, tender noodles, and the unmistakable flavor of tuna. This casserole is the kind of dish that brings comfort with every bite. Born out of a time when ingredients needed to be stretched as far as possible, tuna noodle casserole became a go-to dinner for families looking to feed a crowd without breaking the bank. It was cheap, easy, and most importantly, it could be made with pantry staples: tuna, pasta, and a can of cream of mushroom soup. During the post-World War II era, when frugality was a way of life for many American families, tuna became a pantry staple. It was inexpensive, had a long shelf life, and could be transformed into countless meals. Mixed with pasta and a creamy sauce, it turned into something special. Tuna noodle casserole made its debut in the 1950s and quickly became a family favorite, finding its place at dinner tables across the country. It was especially popular in households where convenience and affordability were top priorities. To make this classic casserole, start by preheating your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Cook 2 cups of egg noodles according to the package instructions and drain them. In a separate pot, combine 1 can of cream of mushroom soup with 1/2 cup of milk or cream, stirring to create a smooth sauce. Add 2 cans of drained tuna to the mixture, along with 1/2 cup of frozen peas or other veggies, if you have them on hand. Season with salt, pepper, and a bit of garlic powder or onion powder for extra flavor. Once everything is well combined, pour the mixture over the cooked noodles and stir to combine. Transfer the whole thing into a greased casserole dish and top with a handful of breadcrumbs or crushed potato chips for a crunchy finish. Bake for 25 to 30 minutes, or until the top is golden and bubbly. Tuna noodle casserole is the kind of dish that may be a simple everyday meal, but it's also one that leaves a lasting impression. Warm, hearty, and perfect for sharing. Potato soup. There's something inherently soothing about a bowl of potato soup. The creamy texture, the hearty chunks of tender potatoes, and the warmth of the broth.
Potato soup, and I have just the recipe for you. Meet me in the kitchen, let's make it happen.
It's the kind of meal that wraps you up like a blanket on a chilly day. Potato soup has long been a favorite in homes where budgets were tight and ingredients were sparse. During the Great Depression, when fresh meat was often a luxury, potatoes were an affordable and filling alternative. With just a few simple ingredients, potatoes, butter, milk, and a little salt, you could create a meal that would satisfy the whole family. Potatoes were the perfect solution for families trying to make a little stretch a lot. Cheap, filling, and easily accessible, they were used in a variety of ways, from mashed potatoes to baked potatoes to the humble potato soup. Potato soup is often seen as a poor man's dish, but in reality, it's one of the most comforting and versatile meals you can make. The beauty of potato soup lies in its simplicity. It doesn't need much to be delicious. Whether you choose to add bacon, onions, or even a sprinkle of cheese, it's a meal that can be customized to whatever you have available while still being satisfying and hearty. To make a classic potato soup, begin by peeling and dicing 4 medium potatoes. Place them in a large pot with enough water to cover them by about 1 inch. Bring the pot to a boil, then reduce the heat and simmer until the potatoes are tender, about 15 to 20 minutes. Once the potatoes are cooked through, drain the water and return the potatoes to the pot. Add 2 tablespoons of butter and let it melt into the potatoes. Gradually pour in 2 cups of milk, stirring to create a smooth, creamy soup. Season with salt and pepper to taste. If you like a bit of extra flavor, consider adding 1/2 cup of chopped onions, a handful of shredded cheese, or crumbled bacon to the soup. Let it simmer for an additional 5 to 10 minutes to allow the flavors to meld together. Serve hot with a side of crusty bread, and you'll have a meal that's both simple and satisfying. Proof that sometimes the best dishes are the ones with the fewest ingredients. Sloppy Joes. Sloppy Joes are a classic example of a meal that's as easy to make as it is delicious, with a hearty, tangy, and savory filling that makes any sandwich feel like a full-on feast.
Joes hit at the top of the messy food scale. The question is, what if we change it up? We make an Asian...
The dish traces its roots to the 1930s, a time when families were looking for affordable ways to stretch meat, and it quickly became a favorite for its ability to feed a crowd without costing much. Ground beef, or sometimes ground turkey, is simmered in a flavorful sauce made from ketchup, mustard, and a variety of seasonings, all piled high on a soft bun. It's the kind of meal that brings a sense of nostalgia, often associated with school cafeterias or busy weeknights when something quick and satisfying was needed. During the Great Depression, ground meat was often one of the most affordable sources of protein, but it wasn't always plentiful. The genius of Sloppy Joe's is in how it uses inexpensive meat as a base, combined with pantry staples like ketchup, mustard, and onions to create a filling, flavorful dish. This dish was especially popular in the 1950s and 1960s, making appearances at family dinners and lunch counters across the country, where it could easily be made in large batches and served to many for little cost. To make Sloppy Joe's, begin by browning 1 pound of ground beef in a skillet over medium heat. Once it's fully cooked, drain any excess fat and add in 1 small chopped onion. Cook for 3 to 4 minutes until the onion becomes soft and translucent. Next, add 1/2 cup of ketchup, 2 tablespoons of mustard, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, and 1 tablespoon of brown sugar to the pan. Stir the mixture well and bring it to a simmer, letting it cook for 10 to 15 minutes so the flavors can meld together. If the mixture seems too thick, add a splash of water or beef broth to reach your desired consistency. Taste the mixture and adjust seasoning with salt, pepper, or a dash of hot sauce if you like a bit of heat. Finally, spoon the meaty mixture onto soft hamburger buns, and you've got yourself a classic, no-fuss meal that's hearty, flavorful, and sure to satisfy. Mac and cheese. Mac and cheese is a dish that's as iconic as it is comforting, bringing a sense of nostalgia with every creamy, cheesy bite. Whether it's homemade from scratch or made with a simple box mix, mac and cheese has been a staple in kitchens across the country, especially during times when families needed to make the most of what they had. The beauty of mac and cheese lies in its simplicity: pasta, cheese, milk, and butter, ingredients that were often affordable and easy to come by. When you didn't have much else in the pantry, mac and cheese could stretch your resources while still providing a rich, filling meal. During the Great Depression, cheese was often a luxury, but when it was available, it went a long way. Mac and cheese became a go-to dinner for many families, as the combination of pasta and cheese provided not only comfort, but sustenance. It's the perfect example of frugality at its finest, using what you have to make a meal that satisfies the whole family. By the 1950s, mac and cheese became even more popular with the rise of processed cheese products like Velveeta, which made it easier for even the busiest households to make this beloved dish. To make classic homemade mac and cheese, start by cooking 2 cups of elbow macaroni according to the package instructions. While the pasta is cooking, melt 2 tablespoons of butter in a saucepan over medium heat. Once melted, add 2 tablespoons of flour and whisk to form a roux. Slowly add 2 cups of milk, continuing to whisk until the sauce thickens. Stir in 1.5 cups of shredded cheddar cheese and continue stirring until the cheese is fully melted and the sauce is smooth. Season with salt and pepper to taste, and if you like, add a pinch of mustard powder or a dash of hot sauce for extra flavor. Once your pasta is cooked and drained, mix it into the cheesy sauce, stirring until every piece is coated. Serve hot, and for an added touch, you can sprinkle breadcrumbs on top and bake it in the oven for a crispy finish. Mac and cheese is a meal that never goes out of style. It's filling, comforting, and a perfect reminder that sometimes the simplest dishes are the best. Chili. Chili is the kind of dish that warms you from the inside out, with its hearty mix of beans, meat, and spices simmering together in a pot to create something truly comforting. Whether served on a cold winter day or as a quick dinner to feed a crowd, chili is a timeless favorite that doesn't require much, but still delivers on flavor. In its simplest form, chili is made with ground beef, beans, tomatoes, and spices, all simmered together to create a rich, satisfying stew that can be enjoyed by the whole family. During the Great Depression, when fresh meat was scarce, chili was a brilliant solution. It made a small amount of meat stretch further, while still providing a filling, flavorful meal. Chili has deep roots in American cooking, especially in the southwestern US, where it became a staple in many households. It was a dish that allowed home cooks to stretch a small amount of meat, adding beans and tomatoes to bulk up the meal. Chili was also easily adaptable based on what ingredients were available, allowing families to use whatever spices, meats, or vegetables they had on hand. By the 1940s and 1950s, chili was making appearances at dinner tables and even cook-offs, cementing its place as a beloved comfort food. To make a basic chili, start by browning 1 pound of ground beef or turkey in a large pot over medium heat. Once the meat is browned, drain the excess fat and add 1 diced onion and 2 minced garlic cloves, cooking for 3 to 4 minutes until softened. Next, add 1 can of diced tomatoes, 1 can of kidney beans, drained and rinsed, and 1 can of tomato paste. Stir in 2 teaspoons of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of cumin, and a pinch of salt and pepper. Add a cup of water or beef broth and bring the mixture to a simmer. Let the chili cook for 30 to 45 minutes, stirring occasionally until the flavors meld together and the chili thickens. If you like your chili spicier, add a dash of hot sauce or some diced jalapenos. Serve hot, topped with shredded cheese, sour cream, or chopped green onions if you have them on hand. Chili is a dish that's not just filling but packed with flavor, and it's one of those meals that gets better the longer it sits, making it perfect for leftovers. Shepherd's pie. Shepherd's pie is the ultimate comfort food, a warm, hearty dish that's as satisfying to make as it is to eat. With its layers of seasoned ground meat, vegetables, and creamy mashed potatoes, it's the kind of meal that feels like home. Originally a way to use up leftovers, this dish became a beloved favorite in many households, especially when resources were limited. During tough times like the Great Depression, when meat was scarce and families had to get creative, shepherd's pie was a perfect way to stretch small portions of meat into a filling, comforting meal. Its versatility meant you could use whatever meat you had on hand, ground beef, lamb, or even just vegetables, and turn it into a dish that would feed a family. While shepherd's pie has roots in British cuisine, where it was traditionally made with lamb, it became a staple in many American kitchens as well. The dish, sometimes called cottage pie when made with beef, was a way to make a little meat go a long way. The bottom layer of seasoned meat, often mixed with carrots, peas, or other vegetables, was topped with a generous layer of mashed potatoes. When baked, the top would become golden brown and crispy, adding a satisfying crunch to the creamy potato topping. To make shepherd's pie, begin by browning 1 pound of ground beef or lamb in a skillet over medium heat. Drain any excess fat, then add 1 diced onion, 2 minced garlic cloves, and 1 cup of frozen peas and carrots. Cook for another 5 to 7 minutes until the vegetables are tender. Stir in 1 tablespoon of flour to help thicken the filling, then add 1 cup of beef broth and simmer for about 10 minutes until the mixture thickens. Season with salt, pepper, and a pinch of thyme or rosemary for extra flavor. While the meat mixture is simmering, boil 4 large potatoes in a pot of salted water until tender, about 15 minutes. Mash the potatoes with 2 tablespoons of butter and 1/2 cup of milk until smooth and creamy. Season with salt and pepper to taste. Preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Spread the meat and vegetable mixture evenly in the bottom of a greased baking dish. Spoon the mashed potatoes over the top, spreading them out to cover the entire surface. Use a fork to create a decorative pattern on top of the potatoes. Bake for 25 to 30 minutes, or until the top is golden brown. Serve hot, and you'll have a dish that's hearty, filling, and perfect for a family dinner, no matter the season. Shepherd's pie is the kind of meal that brings warmth to the table, and with its comforting layers, it's sure to be a crowd pleaser. Chicken and dumplings. Chicken and dumplings is one of those meals that feels like a big, warm hug on a cold day. The savory, rich broth, filled with tender pieces of chicken, vegetables, and soft, pillowy dumplings, is a classic comfort food that has been passed down through generations. It's a dish that was created to stretch a small amount of meat into a meal that could feed a crowd, making it a perfect choice for families during tough economic times. When meat was scarce or too expensive, chicken and dumplings turned a few pieces of chicken into a hearty, satisfying dish, filling bellies and warming hearts. The origins of chicken and dumplings can be traced back to both European and American traditions, with many variations across the country. In the South, chicken and dumplings became a beloved staple, often made with a creamy, flavorful broth and served with fluffy, buttery dumplings that seemed to float on top. It was a dish that required little more than a whole chicken, some vegetables, and flour to make the dumplings, and it was ideal for busy households where time and money were in short supply. It quickly became known for its ability to feed many without requiring expensive or hard-to-find ingredients. To make chicken and dumplings, start by simmering a whole chicken in a large pot with water, salt, and pepper, cooking for about 45 minutes until the chicken is tender. Once the chicken is cooked, remove it from the pot and set it aside to cool slightly. In the same pot, add 1 chopped onion, 2 minced garlic cloves, 1 cup of chopped carrots, and 1 cup of celery. Let the vegetables cook in the broth for 10 minutes, allowing them to soften. While the vegetables cook, shred the chicken, discarding the bones and skin, and set the meat aside. For the dumplings, mix together 2 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and a pinch of salt in a bowl. Add 1/4 cup of melted butter and 3/4 cup of milk, stirring until just combined. The dough should be thick but spoonable. Bring the broth back to a gentle simmer and drop spoonfuls of the dumpling dough into the pot. Cover the pot and let the dumplings cook for about 15 to 20 minutes or until they are puffed up and cooked through. Stir in the shredded chicken and season the entire dish with salt, pepper, and a pinch of thyme or parsley. Chicken and dumplings is the kind of dish that's as much about the memories it creates as it is about the flavors. It's a meal that invites you to sit down with loved ones, savoring each spoonful as it fills you up and warms you through. It's one of those timeless meals that reminds us of the power of simplicity and the joy of a hearty, homemade dinner. Meatloaf. Meatloaf is the kind of dish that feels like home, simple, hearty, and filled with the kind of comfort that only a meal made with love can provide. Made from ground meat, breadcrumbs, and seasonings, it was designed to be a budget-friendly way to feed a family with minimal ingredients. During hard times, particularly during the Great Depression, meatloaf became an ideal solution to stretch a small amount of meat and make it go farther. A loaf of seasoned meat, baked to perfection, could feed a family of 6 or more, especially when paired with mashed potatoes, vegetables, or bread. In its early days, meatloaf was a creative way to use up leftovers, especially when families didn't have enough fresh meat to serve as the main course. By adding breadcrumbs, eggs, and seasonings, home cooks could make the meat go a lot further, and with a little time in the oven, it became a savory, flavorful centerpiece. Over the years, meatloaf became a staple of American cuisine, making appearances at dinner tables and in lunchboxes thanks to its ease and versatility. Whether you add ketchup, BBQ sauce, or gravy on top, there's no wrong way to enjoy a slice of this beloved dish. To make a classic meatloaf, begin by preheating your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. In a large bowl, combine 1.5 pounds of ground beef, or a mix of beef and pork, 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs, 1/4 cup of milk, 1 egg, 1 small diced onion, and 1 minced garlic clove. Season with salt, pepper, and 1 teaspoon of dried thyme or oregano. Mix everything together until just combined. Don't overwork it, or the meatloaf will be tough. Transfer the mixture to a loaf pan and shape it into a loaf. For extra flavor, spread a thin layer of ketchup or BBQ sauce on top of the meatloaf before baking. Bake for 45 to 60 minutes, or until the meatloaf reaches an internal temperature of 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Let it rest for a few minutes before slicing. Meatloaf is the kind of dish that's perfect for leftovers too. The slices can be reheated for sandwiches the next day or served cold in a lunchbox. It's a meal that offers both comfort and flexibility, proving that with a little creativity, you can turn a simple combination of ingredients into something filling and delicious. Baked ziti. Baked ziti is the kind of dish that instantly evokes the warmth and comfort of family gatherings. It's hearty, cheesy, and filling. Everything you could want in a meal, all baked together in one delicious dish, with its layers of tender pasta, rich marinara sauce, and melted cheese. Baked ziti is a meal that can feed a crowd without costing a fortune. It's a perfect example of how simple ingredients, pasta, cheese, and tomato sauce, can come together to create something truly special. This dish has roots in Italian-American cooking, where pasta dishes became a way to make the most of inexpensive ingredients. During times when money was tight, baked ziti became a popular choice because it could be made in large quantities, stretching a small amount of meat, if you chose to add it, and ingredients to feed a family. Even without meat, it's a satisfying and filling dish that's great for feeding a crowd or making a head for busy days. Baked ziti is perfect for serving on a Sunday evening with the family or for packing away in meal prep containers for the week ahead. To make baked ziti, start by preheating your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Cook 1 pound of ziti pasta according to the package instructions, then drain and set aside. In a skillet, heat 1 tablespoon of olive oil and sauté 1 chopped onion and 2 minced garlic cloves until softened, about 5 minutes. Add 1 jar, 24 ounces, of marinara sauce to the pan, and if you like, toss in 1/2 pound of cooked ground beef or sausage for extra flavor. Stir everything together and let it simmer for about 10 minutes. Season with salt, pepper, and a pinch of red pepper flakes, or Italian seasoning if you like. In a large mixing bowl, combine the cooked ziti with the sauce. Then stir in 2 cups of ricotta cheese and 1.5 cups of shredded mozzarella cheese. Mix everything together, then pour the pasta mixture into a greased 9 by 13-inch baking dish. Top with a generous sprinkle of grated Parmesan cheese and bake, uncovered, for about 20 to 25 minutes, or until the cheese is golden and bubbly. Let the ziti rest for a few minutes before serving. Baked ziti is the kind of meal that just keeps on giving. It's easy to make, easy to serve, and can be customized to fit your tastes. Whether you're adding ground meat, veggies, or just sticking to the classic cheese and sauce combination, it's a dish that never fails to please. Perfect for busy nights or when you need to feed a crowd on a budget, baked ziti is a meal that offers both comfort and value. Pancakes. Pancakes are one of those meals that never fail to bring a sense of nostalgia and warmth, whether served for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Fluffy, golden brown stacks of pancakes drizzled with syrup or topped with butter can turn any day into something special. They are as simple as they are satisfying, using ingredients that are often already in your pantry: flour, milk, eggs, and a bit of baking powder. For families struggling to make ends meet, pancakes were a breakfast favorite because they're inexpensive to make and could easily feed a crowd. Pancakes have long been a staple in American kitchens, especially during times when money was tight. During the Great Depression, when meat was less affordable, pancakes became a go-to for many households. They're quick to prepare, require very little in terms of ingredients, and can be made in large batches. Whether served with syrup, jam, or even just a dusting of powdered sugar, pancakes could be the perfect way to stretch a small amount of food and satisfy hungry mouths. They also doubled as a comfort food, offering a sense of indulgence and warmth when times were tough. To make pancakes, start by whisking together 1 cup of flour, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and a pinch of salt in a bowl. In a separate bowl, whisk 1 egg, 1 cup of milk, and 2 tablespoons of melted butter. Pour the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients and stir until just combined. The batter should be a little lumpy. Don't overmix it. Heat a non-stick skillet or griddle over medium heat and lightly grease it with butter or oil. Pour about 1/4 cup of batter onto the skillet for each pancake, cooking until bubbles appear on the surface. Then flip and cook for another minute or two until golden brown on both sides. Serve your pancakes hot with butter, maple syrup, or any toppings you have on hand: fruit, whipped cream, or a drizzle of honey. For a heartier version, you can add a handful of chocolate chips, nuts, or blueberries to the batter before cooking. Pancakes are the kind of meal that doesn't just fill you up. They create memories, bringing people together around the table, even on the tightest of budgets. They're the perfect reminder that with a little creativity and a few simple ingredients, you can make something truly delightful. Fried rice. Fried rice is a meal that's both a satisfying dinner and a clever way to use up leftovers. With its crispy bits of rice, savory soy sauce, and the option to add in whatever vegetables or meat you have on hand, fried rice is the perfect example of how resourcefulness in the kitchen can lead to something delicious. In its simplest form, it's made with just rice, eggs, and soy sauce, but it's the type of dish that's adaptable and versatile enough to feed a family without costing a lot. Whether you're using leftover rice from a previous meal or just making it from scratch, fried rice is a dish that delivers both flavor and comfort. Fried rice has roots in Chinese cooking, but it became a beloved meal in many households around the world because of its simplicity and ability to stretch a small amount of food. During times when money was tight, like during the Great Depression, fried rice was the perfect way to make the most out of whatever scraps or leftover ingredients were available. It's also a dish that can be made quickly, which makes it perfect for busy nights when you need to get dinner on the table fast. To make fried rice, start by cooking 2 cups of rice and letting it cool. It's best to use rice that's been chilled overnight, but freshly cooked rice works too. Heat 2 tablespoons of oil in a large skillet, or wok over medium-high heat. Once hot, add 2 beaten eggs and scramble them until fully cooked. Remove the eggs from the skillet and set them aside. In the same skillet, add another tablespoon of oil and sauté, 1 diced onion, and 1 cup of mixed vegetables, like peas, carrots, or bell peppers, until softened, about 5 minutes. Add the cold rice to the skillet, breaking up any clumps, and stir fry for 3 to 4 minutes, allowing it to get slightly crispy. Add the scrambled eggs back in, along with 2 tablespoons of soy sauce and a pinch of salt and pepper. Stir everything together and cook for another 2 minutes, letting the flavors meld. Serve hot, and for extra flavor, you can garnish with chopped green onions or a drizzle of sesame oil. Fried rice is one of those dishes that can be made with whatever you have on hand, making it a great way to reduce food waste and create a meal that's both filling and tasty. Whether you're using leftover vegetables, meat, or tofu, it's a dish that's always satisfying and never boring. Plus, it's a great way to feed a crowd without breaking the bank. Stew. Stew is the epitome of comfort food, a meal that simmers slowly on the stovetop, filling the house with the rich, savory aromas of vegetables, broth, and meat. It's the kind of dish that's both simple and satisfying, perfect for feeding a family on a budget.
Delicious and flavor-loaded big pot of stew.
Stew is traditionally made by combining inexpensive cuts of meat, like beef stew chunks or chicken thighs, with vegetables such as carrots, potatoes, and onions, all simmered together in a pot for hours. Over time, the flavors meld together, creating a hearty, rich meal that sticks to your ribs. During tough times, like the Great Depression, Stew was an affordable way to feed many with little more than a few basic ingredients. Meat was often too expensive for daily consumption, so stew allowed families to stretch a small amount of meat, stretching it across multiple servings with the addition of potatoes, beans, and vegetables. The long simmering process also helped to tenderize tougher cuts of meat, making them more palatable. It was the kind of dish that could be made in a large pot and eaten for several days, making it both a time saver and a cost saver. To make a classic beef stew, start by heating a couple of tablespoons of oil in a large pot over medium heat. Add 1 pound of beef stew meat, seasoned with salt and pepper, and brown it on all sides. Once browned, remove the meat from the pot and set it aside. In the same pot, add 1 chopped onion and 2 minced garlic cloves, cooking for about 5 minutes until softened. Add 3 to 4 chopped carrots, 3 chopped potatoes, and 2 cups of beef broth. Stir to combine, then add the browned beef back into the pot. Season with 1 teaspoon of dried thyme, 1 bay leaf, and additional salt and pepper to taste. Bring the mixture to a boil, then reduce the heat to low and let it simmer for 1 to 2 hours, or until the meat is tender and the vegetables are cooked through. If the stew is too thick, add a bit more broth or water to reach your desired consistency. Serve hot, and for extra flavor, you can sprinkle some fresh parsley on top before serving. Stew is one of those meals that gets better the longer it sits, making it perfect for leftovers. Whether you're making a classic beef stew or a variation with chicken or lamb, this dish provides warmth, comfort, and a satisfying meal that goes a long way. Potato pancakes. Potato pancakes, also known as latkes, are a crispy, savory treat that's both delicious and practical. Made from grated potatoes, eggs, and a few simple seasonings, these golden brown pancakes were a favorite in homes where money was tight, especially during the Great Depression. Potatoes were one of the most affordable and versatile ingredients available, and potato pancakes allowed families to stretch them further while providing a meal that was both satisfying and easy to prepare. Whether served as a side dish or the main event, potato pancakes have a way of turning even the simplest ingredients into something extraordinary. The history of potato pancakes dates back centuries, with variations of the dish found in cultures around the world. In Eastern Europe, latkes became a holiday tradition, but they were also a common meal during times of scarcity. With the potato as the primary ingredient, these pancakes were not only filling, but also inexpensive, making them perfect for frugal families. They could be eaten with a dollop of applesauce or sour cream for extra flavor, but even on their own, they provided a hearty and comforting meal.
Today, I'm going to be making potato pancakes.
To make potato pancakes, start by peeling and grating 3 to 4 medium potatoes. After grating, place the potatoes in a clean towel or cheesecloth and squeeze out as much moisture as possible. In a large mixing bowl, combine the grated potatoes with 1 beaten egg, 2 tablespoons of flour, and a pinch of salt and pepper. Stir until everything is well combined. Heat about 2 tablespoons of oil in a large skillet over medium-high heat. Once the oil is hot, scoop spoonfuls of the potato mixture into the skillet, pressing them down slightly to form flat pancakes. Fry each side for 3 to 4 minutes or until golden brown and crispy. Once cooked, remove the pancakes from the skillet and drain on a paper towel-lined plate to remove excess oil. Serve your potato pancakes hot, topped with applesauce, sour cream, or even a sprinkle of fresh herbs like chives. Potato pancakes are a wonderfully versatile dish, easy to make, budget-friendly, and capable of taking on whatever flavors you choose. Whether enjoyed for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, they remain a timeless comfort food, reminding us that even the most basic ingredients can become something truly special when treated with care. Cabbage soup. Cabbage soup is the quintessential poor man's meal, simple, nutritious, and filling. Made with just a few basic ingredients, this soup became a go-to for families trying to make the most of what they had during tough times. Cabbage, an incredibly inexpensive and hearty vegetable, served as the base of this dish, adding bulk and nutrition without costing much. In times like the Great Depression, when food was scarce and budgets were tight, cabbage soup could stretch a small amount of meat, if any, and fill up hungry bellies with minimal effort.
What's so great about cabbage soup is it's very versatile.
Cabbage has a long history as a staple food, especially in working-class households. During the Depression, many people relied on cabbage as a cheap, reliable vegetable to get them through. It was easy to grow, kept well through the winter, and was a perfect base for a soup that could feed many. Along with some basic pantry staples like potatoes, onions, and carrots, cabbage soup was a practical meal that didn't sacrifice taste for affordability. While it might not have been a glamorous meal, it was one that provided sustenance and comfort in challenging times. To make a basic cabbage soup, start by heating 1 tablespoon of oil in a large pot over medium heat. Add 1 chopped onion and 2 minced garlic cloves, cooking until the onion softens, about 5 minutes. Next, add 2 chopped carrots, 2 chopped potatoes, and half a head of shredded cabbage to the pot. Stir to combine. Pour in 4 cups of vegetable or chicken broth and add 1 can of diced tomatoes if you have it. Season with salt, pepper, and 1 teaspoon of dried thyme. Bring the soup to a boil, then reduce the heat and let it simmer for 30 to 40 minutes or until the vegetables are tender and the flavors have melded together. If you have some leftover meat or beans, feel free to toss them in for added protein and flavor. Serve the cabbage soup hot, perhaps with a slice of crusty bread or a dollop of sour cream, and enjoy the warmth and comfort of a meal that's as satisfying as it is frugal. Cabbage soup might be simple, but it's a reminder of how a few humble ingredients can create something nourishing and filling. Whether it's for a quick weeknight dinner or a meal to feed a crowd, this classic dish will always have a place at the table. Grilled cheese and tomato soup. Grilled cheese and tomato soup is a classic comfort food combination that has stood the test of time. With its crispy, buttery bread and gooey melted cheese, paired with a rich, tangy tomato soup, it's a meal that's both nostalgic and satisfying. This humble duo became especially popular during the Great Depression and the years that followed, offering a filling, comforting meal made from affordable ingredients. It's a dish that didn't require much, just bread, cheese, and a can of tomatoes, but when served together, it offered warmth and comfort that made you feel like everything was right in the world. Tomato soup, made from simple ingredients like tomatoes, onions, and broth, was a staple in many households, often served with a slice of bread or crackers. Grilled cheese sandwiches, on the other hand, were a way to turn a few slices of bread and cheese into something special. The combination of the creamy, tangy soup with the crispy, melty sandwich became a favorite for families seeking warmth and sustenance. Together, they made a meal that was not only filling, but deeply comforting, something that brought people together around the table. To make grilled cheese, start by heating a skillet over medium heat. Spread butter on one side of 2 slices of bread. Place a slice of cheese, American or cheddar works best, between the slices with the buttered sides facing out. Place the sandwich in the skillet and cook for about 3 to 4 minutes per side, or until the bread is golden brown and the cheese has melted. Remove from the pan and set aside. For the tomato soup, begin by heating 1 tablespoon of butter in a pot over medium heat. Add 1 small chopped onion and cook for 5 to 7 minutes until softened. Add 1 can, 14.5 ounces, of diced tomatoes, along with 2 cups of vegetable or chicken broth. Season with salt, pepper, and 1 teaspoon of dried basil or oregano. Let the soup simmer for 15 to 20 minutes, allowing the flavors to meld together. For a creamier texture, use an immersion blender to puree the soup, or leave it chunky if you prefer. Serve the grilled cheese sandwich alongside the hot tomato soup, dipping the sandwich into the soup for that perfect bite. It's a meal that's easy to make, affordable, and guaranteed to bring comfort no matter what kind of day you're having. Grilled cheese and tomato soup is a reminder that sometimes the simplest meals are the ones that bring the most joy. Spaghetti aglio e olio. Spaghetti aglio e olio is the perfect example of how simple ingredients can come together to create something extraordinary. With just pasta, garlic, olive oil, red pepper flakes, and parsley, this Italian classic proves that you don't need a long list of ingredients to make a dish that's full of flavor. It's the kind of meal that can be thrown together quickly, yet delivers a satisfying combination of savory, spicy, and aromatic flavors. For those looking for a budget-friendly meal with pantry staples, spaghetti aglio e olio is an easy go-to that tastes far more luxurious than the sum of its parts. This dish hails from southern Italy, where resourcefulness in the kitchen is key and where few ingredients are needed to make a meal that's both filling and flavorful. When money was tight, pasta became the backbone of many meals, and spaghetti aglio e olio was a great way to make a simple bowl of pasta feel special. Garlic and olive oil, 2 pantry staples, are the star of the show here, with the olive oil providing richness and the garlic offering its aromatic, savory depth. Red pepper flakes add a hint of heat, making this dish an easy but satisfying meal that can be prepared in less than 30 minutes. To make spaghetti aglio e olio, start by cooking 1 pound of spaghetti according to the package instructions. While the pasta is cooking, heat 1/4 cup of olive oil in a large skillet over medium heat. Add 6 to 8 cloves of thinly sliced garlic and sauté until fragrant and golden brown, about 2 to 3 minutes. Be careful not to burn the garlic. Once the garlic is ready, add 1 teaspoon of red pepper flakes, stirring to combine. When the pasta is done, reserve 1/2 cup of the cooking water and drain the rest. Add the cooked pasta to the skillet, tossing it in the garlic and oil mixture. Add a splash of the reserved pasta water to help the sauce coat the noodles. Season with salt and pepper to taste, and finish with a generous sprinkle of chopped fresh parsley. Serve the pasta hot, with a drizzle of olive oil and a sprinkle of Parmesan if you have it. Spaghetti aglio e olio is a dish that's quick, easy, and a perfect example of how Italian cooking relies on quality ingredients and simplicity. Whether you're cooking for one or feeding a family, this dish proves that sometimes less really is more, and that even the most humble ingredients can become something memorable when paired just right. Beans on toast. Beans on toast is the definition of a humble meal, yet it's one that stood the test of time as a satisfying and affordable option for many families. Simple, filling, and often made with just a can of beans, some bread, and a few pantry staples, it's the kind of meal that's perfect for when you need something hearty without much fuss.
What a fabulously delicious, hearty meal that is.
The combination of soft, buttery toast with warm, savory beans creates a meal that's not only comforting, but can be whipped up in no time. Whether you're having it for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, beans on toast is a go-to for anyone on a tight budget or in need of a quick, filling meal. While beans on toast may have gained prominence in the United Kingdom, especially during times of austerity, the idea of beans served on bread is universal. In the Great Depression and other difficult times, families relied on affordable, pantry-friendly foods like beans, which are packed with protein and nutrients. Beans, often served in tomato sauce, are a source of comfort and nourishment, and when paired with toast, they form a meal that feels satisfying and substantial. Beans on toast is the kind of dish that proves you don't need fancy ingredients or elaborate recipes to create something that's both filling and flavorful. To make beans on toast, start by toasting 2 slices of bread. You can use any kind of bread you have on hand, but a thick, hearty slice works best to hold the beans. While the bread is toasting, heat 1 can of baked beans, or any type of beans in tomato sauce, in a small saucepan over medium heat, stirring occasionally until they're heated through. If you like, you can season the beans with a pinch of salt, pepper, and a dash of Worcestershire sauce or hot sauce for an extra kick. Once the toast is ready, spread a little butter on each slice, then spoon the hot beans generously over the top. For extra flavor, you can sprinkle some grated cheese on top, or even add a fried egg to make it even heartier. Beans on toast may be one of the simplest meals you can make, but it's also one of the most satisfying. It's a meal that brings comfort with every bite, reminding us that sometimes the most basic dishes are the ones that fill us up and keep us going, no matter the circumstances. Egg salad sandwich. An egg salad sandwich is a classic comfort food that has stood the test of time, offering a quick, affordable, and filling meal with minimal effort. Made with boiled eggs, mayonnaise, mustard, and a few simple seasonings, this sandwich has been a go-to for busy families, picnics, or even as a light dinner on a tight budget. The creamy texture of the egg salad, paired with soft, toasted bread, creates a simple yet satisfying dish. It's a great way to use up a dozen eggs, making it not only delicious, but cost-effective as well. For many during the Great Depression, when every penny counted, egg salad sandwiches provided a filling meal without breaking the bank. Egg salad sandwiches were popular in homes across America during the 20th century. Eggs were an inexpensive source of protein, and they could be easily turned into a hearty filling when combined with mayo and mustard. During tough economic times, the sandwich became a reliable lunchbox staple. Eggs were often a go-to ingredient because they could be bought cheaply and stored for longer periods, making them an ideal choice for families who needed meals to last. With the addition of mayonnaise or a similar dressing, the egg salad became creamy and flavorful, and adding a slice of bread turned it into a complete meal that could feed the family. To make an egg salad sandwich, begin by boiling 6 eggs in a pot of water for 10 to 12 minutes. Then remove them and let them cool. Peel the eggs and chop them into small pieces. In a bowl, mix the chopped eggs with 1/4 cup of mayonnaise, 1 teaspoon of mustard, and salt and pepper to taste. For extra flavor, you can add a pinch of paprika, a squeeze of lemon juice, or some chopped celery or green onions. Stir until everything is well combined. Next, toast 2 slices of bread until golden and crisp. Then spread a thin layer of butter or additional mayonnaise if you prefer. Spoon the egg salad mixture generously onto 1 slice of bread and top it with the other slice. Press down slightly to secure the sandwich and serve immediately. You can also wrap it up for lunch or keep it in the fridge for a quick meal later. The egg salad sandwich is the perfect example of how a few humble ingredients can come together to create something truly satisfying. It's simple, comforting, and versatile, making it a great option for anyone on a budget or in need of a quick meal. Whether you're serving it as a light lunch, a picnic snack, or a quick dinner, egg salad sandwiches always hit the spot. Potato salad. Potato salad is the quintessential comfort food, a dish that's both filling and endlessly versatile. Made from simple, affordable ingredients like potatoes, eggs, mayonnaise, and mustard, potato salad has long been a favorite at picnics, barbecues, and family gatherings. It's the kind of dish that gets better the longer it sits, with the flavors melding together as it chills in the fridge. During the Great Depression and beyond, when budgets were tight, potato salad was a great way to make a small amount of food go a long way while still satisfying a crowd. Potatoes, being cheap and hearty, served as the perfect base for a meal that could feed a family on a budget. Potato salad became a mainstay in American kitchens because of its simplicity and flexibility. It could be made ahead of time, making it a perfect dish for busy households, and it was a great way to stretch a small number of ingredients into something filling. The beauty of potato salad lies in its adaptability. While the classic version uses mayonnaise and mustard, it can easily be customized with the addition of herbs, pickles, onions, or even bacon, depending on what you have available. No matter how it's made, potato salad remains a beloved dish that has stood the test of time. To make potato salad, start by boiling 4 to 5 medium potatoes in a large pot of salted water for 15 to 20 minutes, or until they're tender, but still firm. Drain the potatoes and let them cool slightly before peeling and cutting them into bite-sized chunks. While the potatoes are cooling, hard-boil 2 eggs by placing them in a pot of water, bringing it to a boil, and then letting them simmer for 10 to 12 minutes. Peel and chop the eggs once they've cooled. In a large bowl, combine the chopped potatoes, eggs, and 1/2 cup of mayonnaise. Stir in 1 tablespoon of mustard, 1 tablespoon of vinegar, and 1/4 cup of chopped celery or onion for added crunch and flavor. Season with salt, pepper, and a pinch of paprika or dried dill for extra taste. Mix everything together until well combined and taste to adjust seasoning. Refrigerate the potato salad for at least an hour to let the flavors blend. Potato salad is a dish that's not just about the ingredients. It's about the memories it creates. It's a meal that brings people together, whether at a family picnic, a holiday dinner, or just a quiet evening at home. Simple, affordable, and endlessly satisfying, potato salad is a timeless comfort food that can be enjoyed year-round. Corn fritters. Corn fritters are a delightful and simple dish that has been enjoyed for generations. Whether served as a side dish or a main course, these crispy golden brown fritters are a comforting meal that's easy on the budget and always satisfying. Made with fresh or canned corn, flour, eggs, and a few seasonings, corn fritters are a perfect example of how you can take basic ingredients and transform them into something special. During times of scarcity, like the Great Depression, corn was a readily available and affordable ingredient that could be turned into a hearty dish. Corn fritters were a great way to make a little go a long way, and their crispy exterior and tender inside made them irresistible. Corn has been a staple food in American households for centuries, especially in rural areas where it was grown in abundance. It's versatile, cheap, and filling, making it a go-to for families trying to stretch their food supply. The simplicity of corn fritters, just a few ingredients mixed together and fried, made them a popular choice in the kitchen. Whether served as a snack, a side, or even a main dish, corn fritters quickly became a beloved meal that could be whipped up with minimal effort and enjoyed by the whole family. To make corn fritters, start by draining 1 can of corn, or use 1.5 cups of fresh or frozen corn kernels. In a bowl, combine the corn with 1/2 cup of flour, 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. Season with salt and pepper to taste. If you want to add more flavor, you can stir in a pinch of paprika, some chopped green onions, or a little shredded cheese. Mix the batter until it's just combined. Next, heat 1/4 cup of oil in a skillet over medium-high heat. Once the oil is hot, drop spoonfuls of the batter into the skillet, flattening them slightly with the back of the spoon. Cook each fritter for 2 to 3 minutes on each side, or until they're golden brown and crispy. Remove the fritters from the skillet and drain them on paper towels to remove any excess oil. Serve the corn fritters hot with a drizzle of honey, a dollop of sour cream, or even a side of hot sauce if you prefer a bit of heat. They make an excellent side to soups or stews, or you can serve them on their own for a satisfying meal. Corn fritters are a reminder that sometimes the simplest dishes are the ones that bring the most joy, and they offer a delicious way to use what you have on hand to create something both comforting and flavorful. As we come to the end of our journey through these 25 forgotten poor man's dinners, it's clear that these dishes hold more than just the promise of filling your stomach. They're rich with history, heart, and memories of resilience. In a world where convenience and fast food often reign supreme, it's refreshing to return to the simple meals that kept families going when times were tough. These dishes aren't just about saving a buck, they're about creativity in the kitchen, resourcefulness, and the ability to take a few humble ingredients and turn them into something delicious. While these meals were born out of necessity during hard times like the Great Depression, many of them have endured. and for good reason. They remind us that great food doesn't have to come with a hefty price tag. It's about making the most of what you have, and more importantly, sharing it with the people you love. Whether you're preparing a pot of beans on toast for a quick dinner, or sitting down with a family-sized casserole, these meals are about more than just nourishment. They're about connection, comfort, and the joy that comes from a home-cooked meal. So, as you take a step into your own kitchen, think about these dishes the next time you're on a tight budget or just looking for something simple yet satisfying. The beauty of these poor man's dinners is that they don't just fill your belly. They remind us that some of the best meals are the ones that come from the heart, made with what we have on hand and served with a bit of love. Don't be afraid to get creative, to experiment, and to make these dishes your own. After all, the best meals are the ones that are shared around the table, no matter how humble the ingredients.